Offensensitivity. I was surprised that Microsoft Word didn't underline my title. I thought it was a term only a few people know. Evidently, it has become enough of a part of the lexicon that it is accepted by software. That's a certain sign of success. The word was coined by Berkeley Breathed on my 20th birthday, November 14, 1982, in a wonderful Bloom County comic strip. I would love to reproduce it for you here, but you know I'll never get by with that. Copyrights and all. You'll have to deal with my description of it. A large group of people at a bus stop are complaining about the things that offend them. These include penguins, dirty words, Polish jokes, stereotypes, TV sex, a sign, being offended by the sign, nudes, gay people, the comic itself, and finally, life. Opus the penguin is left alone on the bench, and he says,
Offensensitivity.
Fred's Front Porch Podcast is made possible by our patron saint, Edith Keeler, our unofficial patron saints, Boo Radley, Shoshana Edwards, and Miss Maudie, our producers, Coralie Day with Scott Knight, and the people on the porch. Welcome, fellow traveler, on this rock tumbling through space. I'm Fred, and this is my front porch. Come on up and sit a while. There are ideas to be discussed on this old set of nicely nailed together boards. Acceptance seems to be a problem for many of us. We seem to have a difficult time handling ideas that differ from ours. This was illustrated graphically for me this morning when one of the people on the porch was offended by a meme I posted concerning the 10 non-commandments. I happened to see it on someone else's page, and I liked the ideas in it. I recently offended someone else with my essay, Unwarranted Selfishness. Wanting to avoid offending anyone with my words, I went for what I thought were inoffensive memes. I was mistaken. The 10 non-commandments meme offends some people. A Google search reveals it's become a standard part of atheism. Be prepared to be offended. I'm an atheist. If you're just finding that out, this is either the first episode you've ever heard of this show, or you've been sleeping through the others. So it's hardly a surprise I found these ideas line up with mine. Here are the 10 non-commandments. 1. Be open-minded and be willing to alter your beliefs with new evidence. 2. Strive to understand what is most likely to be true, not to believe what you wish to be true. 3. The scientific method is the most reliable way of understanding the natural world. 4. Every person has the right to control their body. 5. God is not necessary to be a good person or to live a full and meaningful life. 6. Be mindful of the consequences of all your actions and recognize that you must take responsibility for them. 7. Treat others as you would want them to treat you and can reasonably expect them to want to be treated. Think about their perspective. 8. We have the responsibility to consider others, including future generations. 9. There is no one right way to live. 10. Leave the world a better place than you found it. The link is in the transcript. These are all, in my view, excellent proposals. At no point do they suggest that disagreeing with them makes someone stupid or intolerant or even wrong. They are specifically not commandments. They are ideas. They are recommendations. That's it. That offended someone. He saw it as an attack on Judeo-Christian beliefs. It really isn't. This set off much discussion on my page, and it turns out no one else found anything offensive in them. I was surprised this person did, because I have always known him to be tolerant of differences. I have to wonder if something else happened and these were simply a trigger. There seems to be something virtuous in being offended. Nearly everyone likes to jump on that train. The latest cause of offense is drag queen. The idea that someone wearing clothing often considered to be most appropriate for the opposite gender might read a book to children is deeply offensive to some people. I suppose they make the unwarranted assumption that there is something overtly sexual about this act. There isn't. It's a form of art. Perhaps you don't enjoy that form of art. I can understand that. I don't enjoy rap, and there is precious little country music I like. I'm not a fan of Jackson Pollock either. I am completely content for anyone else to like those things, though. It's not hurting me. I probably wouldn't recommend taking your 5-year-old to an Eminem concert, but as it turns out, I'm not the child's parent. You are. I won't substitute my judgment about what is best for your child for yours. Even I am not that arrogant. Your child, your call. I've seen people asking why drag queens want to read stories to children. They seem to be implying drag queens are pedophiles. Here's the thing. I read stories to children for most of my life. I promise I'm not a pedophile. I've known hundreds of other teachers who also read to children. They weren't pedophiles either. There are, oddly enough, other reasons one might want to read a book to a child. I've been begging my best friend to get around to getting married and becoming a mother because I desperately want to read Dr. Seuss to her kids before I expire. Perhaps I want to be a part of the reason they learn to love to read. Perhaps I enjoy watching their expressions as they experience green eggs and ham. The advantage of Drag Queen Story Hour is that it allows children to learn something at least as important as what they learn from the books. They learn people can be different from us and still be nice people. Interestingly, while so many people were busy being offended by drag queens without a single scrap of evidence that they present a danger to children, I posted this article on my page. Only 3 of my 2,378 Facebook friends had any reaction to it. The article on my page was from a Baltimore newspaper, but now they're calling it subscriber-only content, so I'm using NBC. It's the same set of facts. The Maryland Attorney General's office released a report of more than 600 cases of child sex abuse within the Catholic Church. I heard nothing about anyone being offended by this.
Time and again, members of the church's hierarchy resolutely refused to acknowledge allegations of child sexual abuse for as long as possible, according to the report. When denial became impossible, church leadership would remove abusers from the parish or school, sometimes with promises that they would have no further contact with children. Church documents reveal with disturbing clarity that the archdiocese was more concerned with avoiding scandal and negative publicity than it was with protecting children.
If we're going to bother to be offended, let's choose things that are truly offensive. This isn't close to the first time the Catholic Church has been involved in these obscenities. We began hearing about it decades ago. Priests, however, get a free pass because we really need to be worried about drag queens. This isn't the only case of misplaced needs to feel offended. Books are being banned left and right. And while the First Amendment protects our right to freedom of speech, of which books are an excellent example, the thought that children might encounter a thought some parent somewhere doesn't like is cause for pulling To Kill a Mockingbird off the shelf, along with dozens of other great pieces of literature. 0 children have been killed by books. If, on the other hand, anyone wants to discuss enacting some form of control over the guns that have become the #1 cause of death for children, we will hear screams of, "But the Second Amendment!" The Constitution applies selectively, at best, for some people.
I'm starting my very own dogcast. It will be on one time every time the moon does all its stuffers and is all the different shapesers and sizes. That's how often the smelly old man goes out to dinner with Pretty Girl, and that's the only time I can get to the studio to work. You can get lots of speedy shine stuffers on the smelly old man's Patreon page. He just gifted me my very own tears singing. Jumps and kisses.
When 3 Tennessee lawmakers participated in a protest about guns following yet another mass shooting in Nashville, they were ousted from the floor for, quote, disorderly behavior. 2 of the 3, both black people, were expelled. The link is in the transcript. The obvious racism doesn't offend you? The final example of absurd offense being taken is almost unbelievable. Michelangelo's statue of David got a principal fired. She allowed a photograph of one of the most beautiful works of art ever created to be shown in her school. What's so offensive? I assume it's that one can see David's penis. Breaking news, something in the vicinity of half of the population of the world has one of these. I promise your father had one. It's not exactly a state secret. While we get offended by this, we're fine with even Disney movies showing people dying. Find me a cop show that doesn't show people getting shot. If we show the love that is the beginning of life, it's considered pornography. And it's among the most offensive things we can portray. We ignore the fact that children are shivering in the streets tonight, and we find reasons not to be offended by that. We convince ourselves that somehow they deserve it. Let's guide ourselves once again with that vitally important question. Who's better off? Who's better off for denying children the opportunity to see a great work of art, read a great book, or see an artist reading to children? Who's better off for getting angry with me for having beliefs that differ from theirs? For me, the answer to all these questions is no one. Who's better off for enacting some control over who gets the types of guns that kill children? Well, for one, any child who doesn't get shot who would have otherwise. Who's better off for stopping the Catholic Church from abusing children? I would say, at the least, the children spared that torture. I don't think it's too wild a leap of the imagination to suggest their loved ones are better off too. Their child didn't get shot or sexually abused. It's a fair bet stopping the sexual abuse can help to stop future sexual abuse by those who were abused. I promise, it is never my intention to offend anyone. If you choose to be offended, I'm sorry you feel that way. If I'm going to be a writer, or if I'm going to be a podcaster for that matter, I have to be authentic. Anything less is a disservice to myself and to the world. I know people who live to offend. They take pleasure in it. They make a living being offensive. That's not who I am, nor is it who I wish to be. I can't, however, avoid offending anyone ever. I don't intend to try. I'm going to choose more carefully what will offend me. I hope you'll do the same.
Next week on Fred's Front Porch Podcast.
Judgment is a tricky issue. We absolutely need to be able to make judgments, even about people. We decide with whom we will be friends, who we will date, who we will marry. We decide what people deserve from us. We are required, simply by nature of being alive, to make those judgments. I have no problem with that. What infuriates me is when we believe we get to decide who deserves to share in the bounty of 200,000 years of human progress. It begins with the idea that we have to earn a living. The easiest response to that is to call it what it is. Bullshit. The people whose names you're about to hear are the reason I put at least 60 hours a week into this show. They're also the reason my mic had dog drool on it when I got home from lunch and getting my will notarized with my best friend, affectionately referred to by Speedy Shine as
Pretty girl.
If you want to hear his dogcast, you need to be a Speedy Shine sponsor or higher, since he's going to destroy my equipment while doing his show every time I leave the house. He does one episode a month, but it's worth every penny, I promise. The smelly old man and his best good boy are grateful to the people who give our lives meaning and allow us to eat, pay for the music, the voices, and writing coaching. Some of these folks even send Speedy Shine presents. These are the people on the porch. Our unofficial patron saints are Miss Maudie, Boo Radley, and Shoshana Edwards. Our official patron saint is Edith Keeler. Our producers are Shoshana Edwards and Coralie Day with Scott Knight. Our top patron is Sherlock, the mystery patron. Our patrons are Mary Rosello, Karen Herbert,
A special Speedy Shine sponsor.
Carrie DeDeo,
A special Speedy Shine sponsor.
Sandy Brower, Marie Janicki, Kevin Boyce, Joe March, Tisha B.,
Our unofficial Speedy Shine sponsor.
Tigger, Alex Oliphant, Jake Margaram, Frau Bluka, Greg Roybal, Robert Blomker II, Cindy Mandel, Amos Stewart, Phil Parkman, Judy W. Morris, Corey Pluard, Pavel S., Claude Burt Lansden, Scott Shelby, Natalie Fredrickson, Elizabeth Bennett, Zareth. Those are our sponsors. Our supporters are Donna Leaf, who just joined. Donna, welcome aboard. We're really glad you enjoyed the trial month and hope you'll be with us here on the porch for many months to come. Jackie Jolly, Christine Pavlik, Susan Oski, Glenn Elfman, Stephanie Hansen, Kim, Deborah Rice, Jamie Sassy, MJ, Roxanne Wolf, Michelle Sylvester, Ursula Phillips, Sarah Nimitz, John G., Christine L. Patterson, Mark Rosema, and Corey. Our first supporter was and is Jareen. Thank you for helping Speedy Shine and his smelly old man to shine. As one of the people on the porch advised us, I ain't gonna dim my light for no one. Thank you for shining your lights on us. Thanks for letting me share my thoughts and ideas with you. Get your episodes of Fred's Front Porch early and commercial-free on Patreon. And now, check out our new website at fredsporch.info. There's no punctuation, and yes, it bugs me too. But welcome to the internet. I'll talk to you next week.